Hello everyone, welcome to the Commando cast. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Amy.
And today we have a special guest to talk about being new to gaming, being new to Destiny and growing into the competitive environment, and being a female in gaming. All right, everyone. So the reason I brought Amy on today is because I think she offers a different perspective than a lot of us, quote unquote, more experienced gamers have, right? So I myself have been gaming since middle school. I know Mike has been gaming since around that same time. We've played many, many games through the years, and we've gotten to where we are because we enjoy doing it, but we also have a lot of experience with it. And I think a lot of the times we can forget, because of the experience we have and the fact that we're hanging out with a whole bunch of people, that even though we may bicker about various rulings and stuff, we're really very similar type people. So I wanted to bring on Amy because Amy's background is very different than that of mine and that of Mike's and many of you out there. So I thought that maybe every now and then bringing in a different perspective can be good because it can help us learn and grow, and it can help the community as well. So Amy, thank you for coming. Can you tell us a bit about yourself in a very succinct way?
I'm an industrial engineer. I haven't ever played any sort of competitive game before, or even quasi-competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Right, just at home with friends and family, playing just basic board games.
Board games and card games, and when you say board games, you're talking like Monopoly and Aggravation, not Settlers and Terraforming Mars, right? So
yes.
Okay, fair enough. So, part of what I believe probably brought you to Destiny was Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your favorite part of Star Wars? Are you an OG trilogy girl, or what? Where are we looking at?
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars, you like? What do you like about the Clone Wars? I actually like Clone Wars a lot too, but
Ahsoka's in them.
Ahsoka's in them.
Most of the time.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they also were very fun. I enjoy the cartoony type and the action, but I really like Ahsoka, so she's in that pretty much the whole time.
Okay, fair enough. So what do you, what kind of player are you? What do you enjoy playing in Destiny? What's the deck you're playing right now at tournaments?
Currently, I'm playing Kit Luke.
And that's pretty normal for you?
Mm-hmm. The Blue Hero.
Blue Hero is kind of your jam?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I like to play. I feel like Blue Hero is relatively straightforward in how to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And that may actually just be because you started me on Blue Hero, and so I'm
That's
just
true.
used to playing.
I started you out in SOR on
Hero.
Luke Ray, didn't I?
Yeah.
Luke Ray Vibro Knife before the Vibro Nerf.
Yep.
Yep.
And then I was playing Rey Ayla, which I really liked. I deviated a little bit with Grievous Kylo, but
Plo Padawans, you were doing damage.
yes,
Plo
Padawans. Yep. I enjoyed that one too.
Oh, that's great. So, what has been that's you kind of led into it. So you started in Spirit of Rebellion,
mm-hmm.
right? How did you kind of progress into competitive quote unquote Destiny?
A lot of practice,
mm-hmm.
I think, and in practice, essentially with practice, like building up the confidence to feel like I was capable of playing in a tournament. Okay,
so then let's talk about that. What was your first success in Destiny? And that can go whatever you deem as a success. What was your first success in Destiny? Right. Many people out there would say, "Oh, success means you won a regional or something like that." What do you define as success, and what do you see as your first success in Destiny?
First success was not making any misplays for like an entire Saturday tournament.
Mm-hmm. So was that the first tournament you went to? Because I would say that going as a new player, going and getting through your first tournament is an accomplishment. But I could see that not being a success. I understand that, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was the first step towards it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was just going, because that was nerve-wracking enough to just do that. Because I didn't know what I was going to be walking into, because I'd never done anything like that before. So I didn't know what the people were going to be like were they going to be okay that I was playing slow and needed things kind of told to me, I didn't know all the cards, so they would have to, I'd ask, oh, what does that do, oh, what's the special on your character, just asking all sorts of questions, and then taking a while to decide what I was going to do next. So I was definitely like playing slow. So
Sure.
I was concerned about people being annoyed by that. And I was also concerned about not finishing a game in 35 minutes. Right? Like, I made you time us the first time before
that's true.
we went
I
to
forgot
go
about
play because I was we just play for fun, right? And time was never a consideration, but I was like, God, could I play a game in 35 minutes? Like, and come anywhere close to finishing?
Okay, so you said your first measured success was getting through and not making any misplays or whatever. What was your next success, I guess?
It would build up on wins, right? So I was then happy with, winning going 2-2, right? And then the thing that I was really excited about, actually, was when I actually won my first Saturday tournament.
First quarter, at the time, quarter kit, now season kit tournament. Right?
Yeah.
So I'll put up a picture right now of that. Yeah, you were pretty happy that day. What you were playing that day, you said was Kylo Grievous, right? It was in that little mini meta we had after the 2-player set release before Empire came out.
Yeah, and I went 4-0.
Yeah, big.
And it was
big tournament for us, right?
Yeah.
14, 15 person tournament on Saturday is pretty good.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're pretty lucky that we have a pretty nice community, right?
Yes.
That said, you again bring that unique perspective of being very fresh and new to doing this, right? So what would you tell, or what advice would you have to offer someone who was in your position, or maybe even what would you have told yourself a year and a half ago if you could go back in time and tell yourself things that would make it better or easier? What would you tell yourself?
Just go in with a positive attitude and hope that you do okay. Like, don't be so worried about making mistakes or making misplays. Now knowing our community, I know that I shouldn't have been as concerned about that as I was, right? And I shouldn't have been concerned at all about people being upset at me for going slow or for making a mistake or anything like that. So I would definitely hope that the rest of the Destiny communities are similar to where people don't have to worry about that. But then I would also just tell myself to have fun with it, because going in you're not going to win. At least I knew for sure. I wasn't going to go into my very first tournament and win.
Sure.
So just go in knowing, like, okay, I hope I learned something today, and I don't make too many mistakes, and like I had fun.
So
and to have fun.
It sounds like you had tempered your success criteria a little bit, right? You weren't coming in expecting to win the tournament, right? And if right, to be clear, nobody shows up like hoping to lose, right? I don't think that's what anybody's saying, right? But yeah, just I like the approach that you had on it, which was get small victories, right? Or maybe victory is the wrong term, but set small milestones and achieve those small milestones, right? And then eventually you're going to be winning tournaments,
right? Yeah. So because as someone who's never played this sort of thing before, right? Like I would not expect going in expecting to win.
Okay. So then, like we already talked about, we have what I consider to be a very, very good community, and we're also lucky in our community that we have a number of female players, right? Amy's not the only female player. We have a young lady who started showing up who's in high school. We have a still young lady who is very, very not in high school, and we have a couple ladies in between. So, we have that going for us, but still, it's no secret that gaming is a male-dominated community. Now, the disclaimer here before I start asking Amy these questions is that she is an engineer and thus has worked her entire life and done her entire education in a largely male, not as much anymore, but still traditionally male-dominated field. So that comes with the reminder that she's been doing this for a long time and has a thick skin. So, but still, I want to ask, so being a gamer girl, quote unquote, whatever you want to say, right?
Yeah.
What challenges have you faced in doing that, right? In being one of the sometime only girl in the room, right?
Yeah. for me, like you said, because I am an engineer, I'm used to not being the only girl in the room. So that wasn't the most concerning, but it was more like I put more pressure on myself to do well.
Meaning, like, you're out repping team girl power, or?
In essence, a little bit, yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's ever been a female winner of any major.
I know Amanda Reynolds took, I believe, a couple store championships last summer, or 2 summers ago, I guess. I didn't follow everything up there as closely, but you're not wrong. I mean, the world certainly has not seen any females in the top at least 16, right? Because that's what we watched on the stream. I don't know of any in the regional results that I've seen this year. But I mean, you top 8'd a store championship last summer, right? So I mean, there are ladies who have had success, but no, not at the high level on the boards, right? That are being talked about. So
it would just be kind of cool if one did win.
Yeah, well, make it happen.
Right? Maybe I'll try.
Yeah. Also, specifically, you and I talked a bit about the Galactic Qualifier in Portland, and that's one of the reasons I actually brought you on here. Is the conversation you had, I thought, was very interesting feedback. So could you expand a little bit on that from your perspective and your words?
So being female and going to a large event, and for me, this was the first one ever that I had gone to, outside of just the season tourneys. And so I walked in assuming there were only going to be a few females there, which was accurate. And I was probably more putting internal pressure on myself to do well because of that kind of go girl power. But I also didn't want people to think like, oh, I'm playing the girl, so I'm for sure going to win. Right? So I at least wanted to put up a good enough face so that wasn't thought of.
Sure. So the internal pressure that you put on yourself, and then the results of that tournament did not go the way you wanted it to.
No.
Right. So that carried additional impacts with it as well because of that.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, to be very clear, there were a lot of people at that tournament who went 2 and out, or 2 and 1 or whatever. Right. So it wasn't all the girls.
Right.
So.
Right. Which is true, and that's why it's it was more probably just. I was putting pressure on myself more so than probably anyone else there thought that. I mean, I hope people didn't think that, but
sure. Okay, so I mean, to that extent, right? Like I said, we have a young lady who's started to come around to the to our season kit or to our Saturday tournaments. If you could take her out for a coffee and give her advice on that, is there anything you'd want to tell her, or any advice you'd want to give her, rather?
Yeah. I would tell her not to let it bother her that she's one of a few of only females, and try not to put that extra pressure on yourself, because it just makes you more nervous, and I mean, everyone's probably nervous going into something like that because everyone wants to win, right? So it's just putting an added pressure on yourself that you probably don't need. But then also for me, and I don't know if this is a female thing, but females tend to like a lot of support. From other people, and so I enjoy having a supportive environment to play in, because I do want to learn and grow, and in order to learn and grow you need to make mistakes, and you need to also have people help you, right? And so I enjoy our community because it is a very supportive, like, kind of learning environment for people, so I would tell her to find an environment like that to help her.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, that's good advice. So, and you kind of talked about that, or you kind of led me to think about something, right? So Mike and I, we tend to claim, or at least, that our main focus is building the community. And I do think that we put a lot of effort into focusing on building the community, but again, we bring the perspective of being an experienced person, what our view of the community is, or what our view of building the community is, right? So we may not necessarily be meeting the needs of someone like her because we can't remember what it was like to be, and I shouldn't even say like her, like someone in that position, right? I'm not on the male-female thing anymore, right? We can't even put ourselves in that view of what it's like to come to the community now because we're not there, right? So
Yeah.
If you were in charge of running a tournament or building a community or something like that, is there anything that you would recommend to someone like myself or Mike or other people out there who run tournaments and try to build a community? Is there anything like that you'd like to, that you would do differently? So I guess what has kept you feeling welcome in the community? And let's start there.
I mean, getting to know the people. As I've been playing more, I've been learning more about the cards and the combos and the characters, right? So you can speak the language more. I think that's actually like a big thing at the beginning. So if you walk into a tournament and you don't know all the speak per se, right? Like you won't feel included in the conversation. So like lots of times there's sort of like little groups and little clusters of people that will be, you know, talking specific strategy about something new that they saw on the boards or something, right? And for someone that doesn't pay attention to that stuff, like I can't participate in that. So I kind of just like stand on the outskirts.
That's interesting feedback.
So just, I mean, I know everyone wants to talk strategy. I mean, because it's the game, right?
Sure.
But thinking about it from a new person's perspective who doesn't know all of that stuff yet, and trying to like include them in some sort of a conversation initially would probably help just welcome more people and help them feel included in the group. So
Sure.
like, even if you just kind of talk about, oh, what are you playing today? And like just to get them in the conversation.
Right. So what you're saying, yeah, because you're almost creating an artificial divide between those that know and the new people. And you have to, yeah, I think that's a really good observation. And I think we will, yeah. But I guess it only takes one person to reach across that line to make them feel welcome, right? So.
Right, yeah.
No, that's very good. Thank you. That's very good. So, you know, I've been on this whole experience thing, right? And like you already mentioned it, right? So you're on the Commando board, I know, and I believe you're on the Portland board, but you're not on the like Worldwide Destiny Facebook group, right?
No.
And when we say boards, I mean Facebook group. Sorry, dates me, I know, but so you know, as the experienced players, again, a lot of times I think that we forget that we can be the very vocal minority, right? The people who are, you know, arguing about the interpretation of the 3 words on a card and the order in which they happen and the fact that there's a period versus the then is a relatively small amount of the community, right? I mean, the guys at Artificery or Hyperlux or Arrowbrook or Jackalman or whatever, right, who are, you know, leading the elite charge in this game are still relatively a small part of the community, right? I mean, I don't, you know any numbers from FFG, right? But if we were to track the number of boxes those individuals bought versus the number of boxes that FFG needs to stay in business as a company, it's going to be very clear there's a lot of other people out there, right? So where I'm going with this little mini rant, right, is that we often forget that because we're the ones that, you know, there's 300 people who are really loud on the board, that's the community, right? I think we forget that that's not the case. There's a bunch of other people out there who play Destiny. So you, as someone who I would consider in that middle ground, right? You're definitely not a table, you know, you're not a kitchen table casual. You're going to tournaments, but you're not at Worlds yet, right? You're in that kind of middle ground, right? So as bringing that perspective to this next question, what do you find undesirable about Destiny right now? Right, because what a lot of us say is like, oh, it's this, and you base it on the fact that you know Magic has a competitive environment or whatever, right? So what do you find undesirable? And then the next part of that question is, what would you change?
Yeah, what I find the most undesirable is the just kill you in 2 turns kind of decks that are out there nowadays, just the ones that slaughter you in no time, because it's just not fun to play against. And I don't necessarily want to play that type of deck either, right? Because I'm not the hyper competitive at the moment. Like I'm in that in between. So, but in order to not get thwomped, you kind of have to play those decks.
Well, so kill you in 2 turns. Are you talking like OTK decks, or are you talking the 1-turn trail decks, or you're even talking like Thrawn Snoke?
No,
or?
just like the Yeah, like the Thrawn Snoke, like just the... I mean, there's always like heavy hitter decks, right? Like every time a new set comes out. It just... And maybe it's just because there's so many cards to choose from right now. And that's why maybe it seems like there's a lot of them or there's more of them. But I feel like it's gotten... Like the game has gotten a lot quicker. Like, so people are killing each other a lot faster. And if you're not playing one of those fast decks, then you're kind of just getting killed.
And by fast, do you mean more ambush action type stuff, or do you just mean overall damage output?
Overall damage output.
Okay. And time that the game takes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So then, into the next question then, what would you... If you were, let's say, you're now officially a playtester for set 10, right? I mean, we already know what set 7 and presumably the rest of that block's going to look like in terms of tribal. So you have a blank slate, set 10's going to come out, you're the lead playtester. What are you going to do in that set to fix that problem?
That's a difficult question because I'm not sure there is like an answer to it per se. Outside of making all the characters or damage sets quite equal, right? Which then isn't really fun either.
I would agree with that. Yeah, that's a fair statement.
So yeah, I don't really know if there is a solution to it from FFG's standpoint. I think if the communities can do a good job of creating fun events, like maybe outside of the season tournament, so there isn't a prize that you win at the end, you just all get together to play Destiny. So you can play like all the other cards that are in there outside of, the two huge ones like Vader or Snoke or
well, yeah, like Snoke not so much anymore, it seems, right? But
yeah, but for a while,
right?
And like, cause I can play my battle droids, like you can play fun decks that you just enjoy playing,
right? And you're playing other people to a tournament, right?
Exactly. Exactly, and other people can bring those other decks too. So it's like I can bring my battle droids and know that I'm not going to get just thwomped.
Sure.
Right, like so maybe that's more not like that FFG needs to change anything because honestly I don't know. I mean with legendaries versus rares and I mean everyone has to be a little bit different and so you can come up with all those cool different combos and different types of characters that people like to play and styles that people like to play, right? So I don't know if there really is a way around it outside of maybe from the community side.
Sure. I think if you look back at the history of, the elephant in the room, Magic, right? I mean, I think Magic's gone through periods where they have rough patches of there being several dominant decks, right? And that's just kind of the side product of CCGs and the fact that we have very passionate and very intelligent communities that can very quickly hone in on what's good, and then the other people can hone in on how to improve that, and then another group can hone in on how to abuse it, right? So, what do you find challenging being in the middle ground, as so as to say, right? Meaning the competitive, casual competitive, right? What do you find challenging from that aspect of being a part of even just the larger community?
I think finding a deck that I want to play.
What do you mean by that?
Has been challenging lately. Like finding a deck that's competitive enough, but also fun for me. So like not the, kill you in one turn kind of deck or whatever, or like a deck, because if I get killed by a deck really quickly, I don't even really want to play that deck back because I know how it feels to get beat by the deck, and I don't want to do that to someone else either. So that's also why I don't like those kinds of decks. But so for me, like kind of finding that middle ground deck that's good enough to potentially beat the Thwomp deck if like I roll well and things go my way, but not too much like harsh in your face.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So do you, I think we're almost done with all the questions I have. Do you have any desire to go to regionals this year? I know you didn't last year. Are you thinking about it this year?
I've been thinking about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit on the fence just because kind of want to see what decks are going to be potentially out and coming there, and
meaning the ones that you wouldn't want to play against. Okay. Yeah. That's completely fair feedback, right? So that's something that the competitive community is going to, the competitive elite, if you want to call it that, are going to zero in on 4 to 5 decks. And if you don't want to go sit across from those 4 to 5 decks, it's going to keep you out of the tournament. I think that's fair feedback, right?
Right.
But the other fair feedback from the other side of the camera would be that deal with it. I mean, that's how it's going to be, right? So someone's not going to show up to a regional and not play what they can get the best chance with.
Which is totally fine.
But that's not necessarily going to help build the
them.
community, right? So.
Right, yeah, and is totally fine with them, and they're, I'm sure, probably just more competitive than I am.
Sure. Well, that's the counter argument would thus be then don't go to regional, right? So, and that's why I'm asking the question. Are you even thinking about going to the regional? So, and I think you had a pretty good answer. So,
I think once I find like one of those good decks that I enjoy playing, that's probably when I'll really go to like a regional or a next step tournament again.
Yeah, fair enough. I think I'm done with my questions. Do you have any questions for me or for the community, or do you have anything you want to add or plug?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say I hope people have fun playing Destiny, and people should have fun. I like to stress that because that's really why I like to play. Like, I like to be somewhat competitive, but I also really just enjoy playing the game, and so it's most fun when I get to play other people that also enjoy playing the game. So I hope people continue to play it and have fun with it, so the game continues. Because I would like to continue playing it.
Wow. Okay, fair enough. Well, I want to thank you for coming and sharing. I know this is kind of weird to be on a more popular podcast, or not. I shouldn't say more, but more directed towards competitive side, and yet talking what we're talking about. So, and on the flip side, I hope that the viewers enjoyed getting a different perspective today. We're trying to do something a little different and offer something a little different. So, along those lines, if you guys are enjoying what we're doing here on the Commando Cast and on the Dice Commando channel, throw us a like, throw us a subscribe. I put a lot of work, and Mike puts a lot of work into making this stuff happen. And like and subscribe puts a big smile on our faces. So for the time we put in, if you could just do that, that'd be fantastic. So before we get out of here, do you have anything you want to plug or say?
Nope. Go Commando.
Go Commando.